All right, Stephen, here's the main problem with what you got. Number one, don't worry about the backswing because I don't think you're that far off except for the plane. So we'll deal with that later. But if you look at what your body's doing here to here, we're actually pretty good. But as soon as you start to go a little bit farther into the downswing, then we see the problem. So head, hip, your head goes back, your hip goes forward. It just means that the entire spine is going to go this way. Okay, so you're tilting at the hip joint, not lateral bending here. Okay, so so with woodland here, the head stays still, the lower body rotates, so you don't see this huge slide this way and a tilting of the body. You see this is actually a bending of the spine rather than a tilting of the hip. If that makes any sense at all. And so when you get here, what we gotta be a little bit careful of is this left knee can straighten and stall, or it can rotate. And what we want to do is rotate the entire leg so that you kind of sort of see the inseam of Woodland's pants here start to rotate towards the camera. And so basically we want rotation of the entire left leg because that allows rotation of the lower spine through impact. And what you've got is the left leg just straightens, stall, right? And so the hands will naturally have to do a little more work. So you get that little underflip action right there, which isn't that bad actually. Again, underflip being the second, most I think stable impact or release move. So let's go take a look at a little bit more. Okay, Steven, so from the target line view, there's a little tendency for you to get the club a little bit behind you. And just remember that when the club gets behind you, you've got to support with your right arm. And typically, what that might have a tendency to do is get the arms also a little bit behind your body. So if you look with an iron, these guys don't get the club so far, oops, don't get the club so far behind them. Keep the club in front going back. So that's one thing I do. I get a little steeper. Even this, I mean, this is sort of behind the shoulder by a little bit more than I think is actually necessary. So this is quite a bit more behind. And then that starts to pull this elbow in this direction, or actually it's the humerus that's abducting or moving behind you. Then what happens is you can't really fire the downswing in quite the same way that you would need to, which means again, elbow going this way, you actually start, so at the top of the backswing, besides abducting, you start externally rotating that shoulder, and then that will start triggering internal rotation of the shoulder. So while you're trying to get lateral bend and all of that, this becomes a little bit of a challenge because the stretch shorten cycle to go from ER to IR is really powerful. And that's what we see is I think a little bit of this tendency to throw it a little bit from the top, right? And then you stall and you let the club go through. So instead, you almost want to get the club up higher. I mean, if you can almost imagine, up where guys like JB Holmes gets the club much more up in front, and then it'll be easier to drive the elbow in front, lateral bend, and then rotate going through again, understanding that you can't let your head fall backwards. You've got to stay right on the ball because all this looks like is a jump. the hips out this way. So instead, we've got to learn how to move this lower body to almost rotating inside the left hip joint, not using the hip joint as say like a door hinge. The door hinge, if there is one, should be more of a revolving door, using the center of your spine to rotate. Yeah. So anyway, it's a bit complicated, but let's talk on Skype and we can get you set up in the right direction.